Pledge allegiance to the flag. Stands one nation. Indivisible. Justice for all.
Rosie, can we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Jackson.
There.
Snyder.
Here.
Bendrick.
Here.
Meredith.
Here.
Mr. Giroux.
Here.
Here. Here. I skipped over the, please note the location of the director. Please do that. Now I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Kelly.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. We have an exciting evening planned tonight with some presentations. And to kick this all off, Mr. Clifford.
Thanks. It's my privilege to tell you that since September, all we've listened to is Andy in our car. There's been a lot of work and a lot of students. I want to make sure you know that Mr. Gunn, Mrs. Bird, Mrs. Judd, who couldn't make it this evening, are the directors working quite hard wrangling students. And I think you're going to see some exciting talent tonight. So I'll turn the introduction over to Mr. Gunn.
Don't be afraid. They don't bite. We're having this forward. All right, well, they're getting set up behind me. Hello, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mr. Gunn. Me and Ms. Bird and Ms. Judd, as Cliff mentioned, have been working with the kids on Annie since September. Ms. Judd could not be here right now because she is doing probably the hardest job of all right now of dealing with the roughly 120 kids we left her with when we left rehearsal to come right here. We've been very excited to work with an exceptionally large number of students in our group this year. We have, like I said, about 120 between high school and elementary school age kids who are working on the show right now. About 80 of them are going to actually, or about 90 of them are going to actually be on stage, and about 30 of them make up the entirety of the backstage crew, of the running crew, of everything. We are very lucky enough and very excited this year to be as hands-off as humanly possible. As of yesterday, the only part that we have from the moment the show starts to the moment the show ends is I am pressing play on the music, so on the actual songs, and muting the microphones. Other than that, every piece of set, every light that's changing, everything is being done by middle or elementary school to high school kids, and it's been a really exceptional time this year. It's been amazing. We brought with us a small portion of the cast because we figured it would get a little chaotic if we tried to bring 90 of them here. So we brought with us today. Let's go down the line. Let's tell us your name and who you're playing in the show. Sorry.
My name is Kathy Gallardo. I'm playing.
My name is Gemma, and I'm playing Oliver Warbucks.
My name is Cindy and I'm playing Kate.
My name is Clover, and I'm playing Pepper.
My name is Neil, and I'm playing Tessie.
My name is Isabella, and I'm playing Blake.
My name is Ava, and I'm playing Duffy.
My name is Lindsay, and I'm playing July.
My name is Olivia Dorsey, and I'm playing Grace Farrell.
So we have all of our main orphans here. We've got about our named orphans. We've got about 20 more orphans that are still at the school. And then we've got our Warbucks, our Annie, and our Grace here. We've got 2 songs for today to give you a taste of what the show is going to be like this weekend, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about it. So we're going to start, yes. You don't need to do the dance. You're okay. Sure. What? All right, do it. All right. All right, I'm gonna see my buttons. We're gonna start off with a number between Andy and Mr. Warbucks. You guys want to step forward? I want to just.
You can scoot this way.
You come this way, look sort of.
There you go. Your stage.
I'm the luckiest man in the world. Together at last, together forever. The tying our knots, they never sever. I don't need sunshine to my skies come blue. I don't need anything but you. You can say that again.
Yes, it's great. Down now.
I'm richer than Midas. Nothing on earth Could ever divide us into more summer. I don't need anything, anything.
And so we were debating on what song to bring for our second one. We wanted to stay away as much as we wanted to show some of the iconic ones. We wanted to hold off on some of the major hits like Tomorrow and Hard Knock Life. You can come and see the show and hear what it truly sounds like with all of the kids. So for our second number, we're gonna have all of our orphans perform for you. You're never fully dressed without a smile.
Yes, okay. I know I'm. Low roar. Which one?
Everyone.
So, for all my family, this is for healing second. Hey, man, hey. Hold my tears down. Fully, I'm a small. You're they stand out from the order. Believe us. Smile. These dreams is what she wears for me too. So sadness, janitor, so smile, darling, smile.
All right, so obviously just a small snippet of two of the numbers from the show. The show will be running, starting on Friday. We have shows on Friday at 7 o'clock, Saturday at 7 o'clock, and Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m., all in the high school auditorium. The tickets are being sold starting an hour before the show, and doors open approximately a half an hour before the show begins. Tickets are $10 a person. We do have, do you want to pass them out? Go ahead. I'm gonna have some tickets for our board members here, as a thank you for supporting us for everything you do to allow us to make this.
Mrs. Gendron,
Thank you.
Mrs. Snyder, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
Mrs. O'Shea. Mr. Martinelli.
Thank you so much.
Stacy. I'm not gonna. Mary.
So again, thank you for having. For able to see this weekend, it's sure to be an absolutely incredible production. We're very excited to share with you everything we've been working on since September. So thank you all for supporting us and thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, break a leg this weekend.
Thank you.
Hey.
They're so cute.
We'll just give a 30-second transition.
God, I don't have to go out.
Oh, I know. I was talking to Kate. It's like, it's her thing.
Yes.
And I never.
And at this point, I'd like to call up our athletic director, Mr. Jeff Funo. It's the slide back, PJ. Mr. Mahoney, I think it's the first.
Come back to follow.
I was just gonna say.
Really hoping you were gonna say it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to say congratulations to Coach Michael Wilt, the Smack Brothers esports team on your state championship win. Coach Wilt has done a great job with the esports program, helping to get it off the ground, and just making it a really nice program for our athletes. So, congratulations, Mr. Wilt.
Also, big applause. So I want to thank Ms. O'Shea for inviting me out here and us, the team, and thank you, board, for having us. My name's Michael Wilt. I'm a teacher at the high school, and then about a couple, 2-ish years ago, I started esports as a club with the help of Ms. Carlo, Mr. Funo, and everybody else, and kind of exploded into what it is now, and to where we have some undefeated state champs behind us. So that's a pretty awesome accomplishment for that. PJ, next slide.
Like 2 slides.
All right.
There.
Okay, anyway, what is esports? Esports is kind of a new thing, but kind of an old thing. I first heard about it like 10-ish years ago. The games used then are very different. It was mostly on a pro level, but now it's like a collegiate thing and then also a high school thing. But basically, in short, it's playing video games competitively against other schools, right? So the way I explain it more easily is like, just think of the difference between male and female. Right, you've got 2 different forms of communication, one physical, one electronic. Esports is just the electronic side of a competitive atmosphere, right? So only select games are deemed worthy enough of being competitive. Not every single game can be played competitively for various reasons. As much as I would like, have fun, how fun would it be to have a Mario Party team? It's just too random to even have it play competitively. So you pick certain games are decided on. And we have several different games we pick from, and it's really just based on the interest of the students, how I feel the teams. It follows regular season type of format. There's a preseason, 1 game a week for 2 weeks, and then there's a regular season, which is 8 weeks long. Again, 1 game a week, we get a bye week wherever we want. And I usually try to run that around a break, but it's not always the case. And then there's a postseason, where there are playoffs. It depends on the game, how big the league is for the individual game, whether it's a top 32 or just a top 8 or whatever it may be. And then there's a fall and spring. And basically every game that's offered in the fall is also offered in the spring. There's no it's totally up to me how I decide on it. There's a very typical game schedule. There's 1 game a week. And if it's like, for example, Smash Bros, it's every Wednesday. If it's if it's Mario Kart, it's every Thursday. It's pretty consistent like that. It follows like a modified Swiss format, so I don't know what the upcoming game is beyond the game I'm about to play. So it's not all set in stone what the schools I go against. It's kind of as you go, depending on how well your team does. They kind of pair you off that way. And expectations of teamwork. I think, can you go to the, well, no, that's just, okay. So basically, it's a little bit interesting, right? It's a totally new thing. How do you go about doing this as far as kids there playing video games? I have to focus on the culture there, like a high expectation of working as a team, going from just playing video games on your own at home to actually playing with a team, communicating, being professional, showing up on time, doing your best, wanting to improve, all that kind of good stuff. So that's what I expect of all my players. And this is going to be like I'm going to be obnoxious. It's going to be like multiple clicks here. So this is the platform that's used. It's called playversus.com. I found out about it just by searching around a couple of years ago when I wanted to start this. And basically, I think it's based out of California. They do all the legwork. All the schools locally use this to compete. And then one more click, I'll show you some stuff. There you go. So like, for example, when you're on the page at the top, it'll show who we are, who we're going against, the day, you know, it's a best of 5 or what have you, who's home, who's away. And then it keeps your score. And over there, there's like a little chat room. You can communicate with players and other coaches. And the admin from the site itself can hop in if there's a dispute, because as the coach, I also have to act as the ref too, the way it works. So I have to know the rule books for every game. And if there's a violation, I got to immediately like follow through with it. There's not like a ref or something hanging out in the chat. I got to be proactive with it. And then over there, you can see a little window, all the players. And for the specific teams, there's my Morocco League team, there's the roster, there's a bench, you know, and all that stuff. And then those little icons right there, you have to give you performance. So the website tracks everybody's stats as they play through the games, which is useful for potential scouting for local colleges, because pretty much all the local colleges have these sports programs. And that way they can see how students have done for the particular season. These are the game titles. I know this may not mean a whole lot to you if you're not too familiar with games, but this is the whole list of all the games. They just added another game recently, but I can't do it for scheduling reasons. But those are the games that are mostly offered. So basically, I get it out there. I have a form out there now. Posted on transfer for me that basically gauge interest. How many want to do what game, and then I field the team based on what we got. And that list is always growing. So esports coaching, what it's like in general. I talk a little about managing teams and knowing rule books. I have practice. There are practice sessions. It's different for each game and each team, how they practice, and where they're at when they're practicing. I create social media posts, and I push out, I run a Cohoes Esports Instagram page for like upcoming games and just like clips of actual games and stuff. Like Mr. Cuno, he posts them out too. Another big responsibility that's kind of on me, but it's because it's just kind of is, and I don't have somebody else to help me with this, is creating clips and managing live streams and VODs. One thing that's really unique to esports is that there has the need for the games to be recorded and then have like short little highlights and clips that students can use in like a portfolio, so to speak, to like showcase to the college that they're going to, like this is how I perform, this is what I can do. I try to do that with the time I can, but I just don't quite have all the time I want to for that, but I'm working on that. I contact colleges. I'm in communication with all the local college esports coaches. You'll see a slide upcoming about with them on there. And I try to plan and attend local tournaments, so I'll show you some of that too coming up. And then field trip. We got a field trip coming up next week at Hudson Valley. And then later I hope to do one at Albany. They're building a new esports program. They hired a bunch of people and I'm trying to get over there. So I do all this. Here's some photo of the live streaming. We got a live streaming PC. Thank you, Mr. Martinelli, for helping with that. This is over the Connect Center on the left and right. You may or may not recognize some Cohoes alumni there. We got Anthony, Drake, and Zach. I asked them to stop by to volunteer commentating, and that was very interesting. That was a lot of fun, especially Anthony. You did great. In the middle, I got a couple of our players back there, Tom and Jason, so they would get on the mic and commentate a match when it wasn't their set, while Devin was playing his set. And it was an awesome experience. They got some experience like doing commentating. Commentating is an actual profession, like there are professional commentators that give, and it's a good opportunity to introduce them to that, and I'm hoping to kind of grow that some more where I can get some dedicated commentators or what have you. So here is, I didn't send access to Google apparently, but anyways, silly me. That is the YouTube page right there, Cohoes Esports YouTube page. So basically every live stream, I just put the videos to it. I was just going to be scrolling through it. It wasn't that exciting. But basically, there's a bunch of videos there. I just made some thumbnails for it, and I have, if it's Smash Bros. Game or Mario Kart game or Rocket League, whatever, and I just put them up there. And that way, students, college esports coaches can come and watch any match we did, or they can go back and watch how this happened a lot too, like they go back and watch how they performed on a game. If we this happened, actually, we go against somebody in the playoffs that we played in regular season, so we can go back and watch how we played against them and how they did. and then kind of plan according to that. So that's that. I'm sorry, I should have opened up access to that one. So, wait, there wasn't, there wasn't more with the, okay. Well, anyways, no, that's fine. Yeah, I had more with the, but anyways, what was left over? I did that. I had some photos basically up there for the actual state's championship match. So we had some teachers and parents. I want to thank you. Big thanks to those people that came by. And we had some of the coaches. I had the St. Rose coach, which unfortunately St. Rose, we know about that. But Hudson Valley coach was there. New Albany, Russell Sage, and I'm missing somebody. Oh, Sienna as well. And I'm missing anybody else. But we had all the esports coaches stop by and watch us play. And I think that is about it. We do a bunch of tournaments. We did a recent thing at the Connect Center. And we got some stuff coming up planned. And yep, so that's really about it.
It's amazing. Mr. Will, can you bring the state champs forward and introduce them so we can give them a round of applause?
Yeah. One of them really shocked. Where do you want to stand? Doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I got Tom Smith here, team captain, Jason Harlow, and Devin Udrew.
Good job, guys. I'm really proud of
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good job. So is the gear like available at the athletic store? Because that's pretty amazing.
What, those jerseys? I don't know if the jerseys are specifically, but we did have, we were able to have esports apparel up on the store. It was like a temporary thing, like a 2-week window or something like that.
Please let us know when the window opens.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
How cool is that?
they look nice. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Well
So
done.
thank you so much. Thank you. And at this point in time, there's a PowerPoint that I know we need to bring up now.
Well, before we get into that,
Yeah.
we have the architects for the esports at SUNY Albany.
Wow.
Oh, did you hear that, guys?
Gentlemen,
Mr. Will. Mr. Will.
well, listen,
The architect for- oh, no. Also, construction. There we go.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
So next on the agenda, an update on the capital project. As I mentioned at our last meeting, we have been approved by the State Education Department, and Mr. Pokey is here to give us an update. And then time for questions. Anybody might get a question? You don't know?
Short update today, just to let you know where we stand. When we last came before you, we were talking about how we were going to package this to get out. So we are now up to bid. We went out on December 21st. That means that drawings and specifications are available for contractors to pick up and review. We had a pre-bid meeting yesterday with the contractors afforded the opportunity to come to the buildings and meet with us and Jim and walk through the buildings and see what the work entails. So that was yesterday. It was pretty well attended. Bids are due on the 23rd. We'll receive them, open them publicly. And then we have a little bit of a short duration to vet the contractors. So we'll meet with each of them, make sure that they understood the scope as we intended it. Make sure the numbers are good. Those de-scoping meetings will happen on the 24th and the 25th. And our intention is to get a recommendation to the board on the 26th for your board packet. And then the contracts will be coming to you on the 31st of that board meeting for approval. Depending upon how the numbers come in, if everything's good, and if we can recommend the contractors, then we will. And that would be our schedule. So leading up to that board meeting, there will be a bunch of information coming to you relative to how the bids turned out. So, what are we bidding? So we're bidding, 6 contracts, on the left of the side of the slide. We're bidding, site work, general construction, roofing construction, plumbing, mechanical, and electrical. Those are standard, that's the bids that we're gonna be receiving at that date. There are other contracts, that we are soliciting cooperative purchasing, pricing for, and I should have listed here New York State contract pricing, for some of these as well. But that is for some of the real specialty items. And the reason for going through a cooperative purchase is, one, we could work with the vendors during design to make sure we're getting exactly what we wanted. Secondly, because they are really specialty services, there are very few contractors and vendors that provide those services. So you avoid paying a markup to a subcontractor to hire one of these contract or vendors. So we have synthetic turf surfacing, that's just the grass itself. Everything underneath the grass, all the site work is being bid in contracts for. You have the athletic field lighting, that's the sports lighting, basically. Scoreboard and shot clocks. Field bleachers, those are the exterior bleachers down at the track. The elevators, fire alarm, temperature controls, all of those, temperature controls and fire alarm are really just the parts and pieces. And that's for consistency. You know, when we go public bid, you can get any vendor that meets a certain performance criteria. Going this way, we can ensure that we have the same temperature controls, for example, at all the buildings. So we bid some of the installation work, but then we put out the parts and pieces through a cooperative contract. So, and sports field equipment, that's some of the specialty pieces like jumping mats and high jump stanchions, things like that, that if we could give it to the site contractor to provide for us, but then again, you're just paying a markup on top of that material. If it's available through a cooperative, we can go direct and buy that. So that's the last one there. So relatively, that's a relatively small contract, but that is one. So we're also bidding a bunch of alternates. And again, as we talked about last month, we do alternates, so we have an opportunity to pick and choose some of the scope. If the numbers come in low, then we can start to add these alternates back in. If they don't, then we can proceed without doing the alternate. So I'll go through them quickly. At Lansing, we have a portion of the exterior building painting. The areas that required repair, that were deteriorated, those we have in the base bid, but the alternate is the areas that are really in good condition, but we just want to spruce up the building. So some of the exterior painting, the library carpet at Lansing as well. At the middle school on the 3rd floor, there were some windows that we didn't account for replacing them pre-referendum. That was scope that came up later. Made good sense to do it. That's adding windows at the end of the corridors to get some ventilation through there. So we identified that as an alternate. Middle school toilet renovations. That was one of the items that we were looking at trying to reduce when we were trying to adjust our budgets. But we wanted to put that in as an opportunity to reclaim that work, but as an alternative if we have the money. At the high school, irrigation at the baseball field infield. So that's just at the baseball field. The softball field doesn't have a grass infield. It's a skinned infield. So that's just irrigation there to help the grass get established quicker and make sure that the infield stays in good condition. Science room air conditioning, again, that's something that's not necessarily required. The rest of the building isn't air conditioned, but since we are doing renovations there, it made good sense to try and include that as well. The science corridor renovation, that was another one that we had talked about pre-referendum, but we didn't proceed with that. It wasn't budgeted in the pre-ref scope. And that's basically, since we're renovating all of the science rooms, addressing that corridor as well. So ceiling lighting, taking out blockers, taking out the blockers, wall repair. So really just sprucing up that corridor. At the high school as well, we have some roofing replacement. Our initial scope was really dealing with the spray foam roof areas. But in the course of design, there was an area pointed out that that was leaking that we didn't have covered. So we added that additional roof area as roof replacement as an alternate. And then on the track, there's a section of security fencing that's been requested to put in to kind of help manage a little bit of the crowd control around the track. Again, we didn't have that when we did our initial budgeting, so we put that in as an alternate as well. Again, that should be a relatively small alternate.
So Greg, if I could just mention, these are the alternates that are in the bid. This is not in the order of, our preference in terms of, what we would do when we get the, bids. Some of them might be in combination depending on cost, and I did share and we'll continue to talk about priority order. These are the alternates.
That's a good point. You don't have to take these in order. That's just the way we generated the list. So you can, you can take, the only one we want to do is number 7. We can do 7. We don't have to do 1 through 6 to get it 7.
And we looked at it first in terms of safety. So for example, the fencing at the event, and then we looked at it in terms of, well, if we're doing this major science renovation and we have that opportunity, let's look at that. And I did share that as well.
Yeah, so, and the other thing to point out relative to alternates is it can actually impact the low bidders, right? So you might have, a low bidder, and if you can afford whatever alternate, the cumulative number might change who the low bidder is once you get their alternate, right? So really it's a little bit of just a menu to pick what we want, provided we have the money to afford it, and see where we end then with the contractors, so. Any questions on anything I've covered so far?
That was my question.
All right, excellent. Well, Mike is going to go through kind of the high-level view of how the construction.
So what we have here is, this is just a graphical representation of the work that will happen at each school in 24 and 25. So this is currently in the bid package, it's out to bidders. This is our plan currently. So just had Abram Lansing, nurse's suite, some control valves, the window screens, the exterior wall work that we're asking for alternate pricing, that wall would be in the first summer. And then as we get through, we'll stay on Abram Lansing. In early spring, we'll get into fire alarm upgrades, and then the elevator rig work will be in the summer of 2025. After the scope at Abram Lansing. Harmony Hill, we're looking to, we're asking the bidders to tackle all this in the first summer in 2024, which would be the ADA curves, the exterior work, the windows, the elevator, which is already purchased, would be this summer, as well as the locker room work, which really I think the most invasive work at Harmony Hill is the locker rooms. It's big work that'll take a few months. Van Skype. I think it's one of the schools that's got a very palatable, simple work that we feel that is easily to get done in the summer months. Roof skylights, some exterior door work, masonry, the masonry wall, there's a masonry wall and some structural work down in the cafeteria that we've got to do that needs to be done over the summer. Some exterior work, the handicap ramps. Again, advanced kind of elevator. This elevator is already purchased. Due in for this summer. Then some electrical power upgrades, and then we'll get into the fire alarm starting this summer. Advanced Skype, the fire alarm upgrades. I think I briefly didn't need to breeze over, but Harmony Hill, it's looking like over the Thanksgiving to Christmas winter months, we'll be doing the fire alarm system over at Harmony Hill. Look good. Next one. And then, the middle school and the high school are some of our, biggest work areas. The middle school here is the windows, it's the exterior walls, the grand main entrance, some of the fire escape work here that we're looking to do in the first summer. The fire alarm upgrades here, between here and the high school, again, we're looking for both of them to be tackled as, some of the first work out of the gate. And it'll be, if we're working during the school hours, we're working second shift. primarily works the second shift, not during the day. But staying here, the plaster repairs, the main, staircase, work here in the library as well. Hot water heaters, the science classrooms are probably the biggest disruption here in the school. We'll look to do those in the first of summer. Elevator for the middle school will be second summer, when I say second summer, summer of 25. That's when that'll be available. Actually, I think we've got the plaster repairs wall. There's some plaster repairs that'll be split between 24 and 25. It's just a matter of, could be a lot to take on because of the process of patching the plaster. So that gives you a time frame. And then the high school is, the main work is starting in the early spring, in mid-April, with getting into alumni field to start that work, with being done by the end of August to make sure that we get the track surface done in August as well. Roof, the other bigger portion of the work that not that glamorous, but the roof work that has to be done, that'll be done, that's planning to be done this first summer, get the building watertight. And then working on, this year, we're working on the fire alarm. Next summer, the summer 25 would be the rest of the balance of the work, the science classrooms, like the science corridor, if it's so, take in the elevator in the high school, the upgrades. And then we had to split the athletic work up into 2 summers. So alumni will be 24, and then the north fields, the other fields, the softball, that will all be done in the second summer. But I think at the high school, we'll finish out with, I think 25 would be the road work, which makes repave. So that's what we're planning on schedule right now. So if there's any questions? Or the schedule or scope?
I guess my only question is spring sports for the high school, which would probably be Mr. Gino question, right? Like the impact if they're starting in April.
Yeah, so we have talked about making sure that we can have the senior games, et cetera, in the spring on the field before the transition. So, Jeff?
Yeah. April, that we scheduled Cohoes to get senior night. I'm trying to schedule, we're going to schedule family meetings, like, there's games on the field. Trying to schedule meetings at senior day.
And then we have been meeting with principals as a follow-up. We have meetings planned in February to just really work through even further the logistics. So for example, the middle school, the discussions have already been had about starting the science classrooms right after the kids leave. So that involves packing up of science classrooms, things like that. So going into that level of detail, the science classrooms at the high school for the year out, that does impact a bit during the school year. So working with Laura to plan that. So we've had preliminary discussions across the board, and I'll continue to fine tune. Our summer programming this year will not be at Harmony Hill because of the work being there and food service needs that elevator. So they will be, our elementary will be at Abram Lansing. So we have detailed plans and we'll continue to reach.
One thing I would just add is that this is like kind of the simplified version. In the spec, Mike does have a much lengthier description by task as to when we expect the contractors to start and finish each task. But really, once we get the contractors on board, we require their buy-in, and we might show something 30 days, and they say, well, I get it done in 15, and I want to move this. So really, it kind of becomes, we work in synergy. We're getting the schedule worked out. Our real drivers are when can we start and when do we need to be done, and everything in between is kind of negotiation as we go.
like Stacy's model of conservative estimates. I'm gonna give you this much, but it may only take this much.
We seeing the same kind of supply chain issues that we've seen in the last few years, or we're hopeful that that's not going to be the hiccup?
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen is it's definitely gotten better. There are still some things that will, you know, depending on what's going on in the world, whether it's something hot, heavy in wood or in metal, it could be impacted. But what we're seeing a lot of things setting out, a lot of electrical gear, transformers and electrical is still, there's still long lead times on those. But luckily here, we're not replacing any transformers, we're down to electrical panels, which is good. So I don't see much impact, but there's still lead time concerns with material.
How was the pre-bid meeting with the contractors? Did you get any feel from them about times and?
They don't offer much. It's tough to get a lot out of. It was a good turnout.
Was it a good turnout?
Plus, not
Okay.
Somewhat, those pre-bids are sometimes used to see who else is bidding.
Right.
But we did walk around a few of the locations. Not a lot of questions.
Not a lot of press. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be giving your phone number to the
Yeah.
esports field trip.
Maybe very good piece of controllers.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Hino, a question?
Oh, of course.
Mr. Hino, will the girls lacrosse games be neutral site home games or will they just all be away games? Okay. Because that's the only sport that would affect, right?
We try to, well,
Oh,
surveys for us. Surveys.
okay.
Which.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I want to provide you with some additional updates. So first of all, I had mentioned that we had met the secondary administrators with Chief Walden, Assistant Chief Keith. And some of the items we discussed were, we reviewed some of the limitations brought about by raise the age in terms of some of the penalties and consequences students can receive. And he will be sharing flow charts with us because there's multi-levels now. And that will help our administrators. Again, it's not to, we'll still be contacting the police, asking them, working with them, but it will help us to explain. Sometimes we get questions from parents, sometimes from teachers, and we'll share that further information with you when we receive it and really go more into detail about some of the impacts. They will be presenting training at our February faculty meeting, so that's good news. A question was asked about the school liaison. So currently it's Assistant Chief Keith, but they do have someone in mind who is currently going through some training. And as soon as that's solidified, I will share that with you. But in the meantime, you know, whenever we reach out, they're at the ready. I did want to talk to you with something that all administrators, elementary, secondary, feel would be very helpful for us with our students. You might have heard some other districts have something, it's called, in some districts, a Handle with Care program. So if there was an incident in the student's home, you know, the night before, whether there was domestic violence, an arrest, potential overdose, there would be a dedicated person, a lieutenant for an hour before the start of the shift, who would be going through the reports from the previous evening, highlighting that, and then sharing with a contact person at our district, so that as the students can come in as a proactive preventative measure, we would know that, that is a student to handle with care. Continue to have the contact if it is one of our students. It streams, if there is something that has happened in the community too with one of our students, streamlines it a little bit more. There is a cost because this would be before the person's shift of $90 a day. We'd like to try that from now to the end of the school year as we look through other models through the budget season. I mean, that covers salary and benefits. It would be well worth it. And it was a suggestion, and our administrators, I know Mr. Bird is one of them, has been asking for something like that for a while. And this was brainstorming together on how we could make that happen. I just wanted to share that with you to see if you had questions.
I know the initial, kind of conversations when we first lost the SRO position, and then we're talking about reinstating it. That specific item was something that was held very high in being able to have that connection. So I feel like it's a smart way for us to kind of get back into, having this connection, which is specific to our students and our families, and not just, when you see somebody, like there's somebody committed to actually going in there and checking to see. I think there's value there, and I hope that it works well.
Any other?
I guess my follow-up question to that would be in terms of follow-up. So identifying the problem, giving that heads up, but does it end there? Obviously you probably don't have all the answers there. Just, it's still an expensive endeavor, which I think is well worth it. I'm a big proponent of the SRO position, but understanding what that scope is it just identifying X, Y, Z, or what is the greater plan? And
Right. So the part of the greater plan comes through the, budget discussion for next year, as we have the discussion about school resource officer, but the plan for this specific piece. So this gets a piece of something that a school resource officer would be doing with us automatically. The bigger plan is the contact person, the sole contact person, and we're working through the details. We're working together with Rachel Marcel as well, and the administrators would let the school know. The police would be limited at times in what they could tell us, but at other times there would be further information. I know sometimes it's just, all we can say is please handle this child in care today. That would then be communicated with the social worker, but there can be ongoing two-way communication too. And this also will help us with not just when things happen in the family, but when things happen with our specific students in the community. And that's where, we can have much more of the direct communication as well.
yeah, I don't think I said that completely properly, but that's my question. My bigger question was, so we have this situation, you're able to make the phone call, you identify whatever, the handle with care, but utilizing the social workers and those next steps. So thank you.
And there's, if you look at some of the districts that have been doing that, I mean, it's making sure everybody understands the impacts of trauma, which we do, coming up with a plan for the student, determining what further communication you can have with the police. So yeah, there's things built around that. Okay. And then tonight, I wanted to just give you a very brief progress report on Synergy. My plan is to provide a full report on the 31st, an overview of the report. And I'll explain why January 31st in a moment. But before I give you that brief update. I do want to acknowledge that I know this has been a very difficult transition for staff and a very difficult transition for secondary students. I know very frustrating at times, and I do want to thank staff for the amount of time and effort they've put into trying to, make sure that the students are able to access the system. So before I go on, I do want to make sure I acknowledge that. So why not tonight? Why January 31st? So as you know, we work with NARIC, Northeast Regional Information Center, and there are liaison to Synergy, and that is typically how we work with our software training and our programs. And Mr. Martinelli and his Synergy team have weekly meetings with the NARIC representation, who then contact Synergy. But based on the, the amount, the level of concern, Mr. Martinelli reached out to Synergy directly. And then on December 13th and 14th, one day they sent their Eastern manager, and then the next day there was a virtual meeting with their programmers, developers, their vice president of SMS design, and Dan and Jen San Giacomo, our instructional technology integration specialist, Katrina Hunt, data coordinator, PJ, were in the meeting. I was in the meeting as well. And I'll talk a little bit about the major concerns that were addressed. Dan met with them again today. So during the meeting, they agreed to fast track adjustments needed to suit our requests, and they demonstrated some changes still in production. So today at Dan's meeting, they let him know that the changes will be loaded into our test site by January 19th, which will go live on January 29th. Why January 29th and not sooner? We don't want it to disrupt the second quarter report card submittal. So by the 31st, we will have seen the changes in their test site, and then we will have had a few days with the changes going live. So then I'll be able to explain how some of those major concerns and Dan have been addressed. But just a few other things just to explain, and I'm going to do it in broad terms, and then if we need further information. But so the major areas for this that they're working on are student submission of assignments. So what happens is sometimes students submit assignments and teachers don't know that they've submitted them, even though they have, which is frustrating for teachers, frustrating for students. It involves then submitting, unsubmitting, resubmitting, sometimes students having to email or take screenshots. And I think they said it might have something to do with rostering and when new students come on, so that if, say, for example, a new student enters the roster, then it impacts every student who just submitted at that point in time, or if you withdraw a student. And then another major area of concern, and I know this is just brief, I'm not going into I'm not going into assessments tonight, but this is what the actual student submission is the lag time. And that has to do when a teacher shares the assignment. So that's why I wanted to wait to be able to give a full report. I don't know if you have anything to if that was, those were very layperson terms, so if there was anything, but those capture the essence of the two problems.
Yeah, it was a good meeting today, and we told them we just can't wait. If a teacher sends an assignment out, the kids need to be able to see it right away. And so they addressed that. They moved things up quite a bit earlier at our request. We got to the right people. And I saw it work today. I'd like to test it in our own system. And then we'll launch it out. So I think we're going to bring resolve to the most major issue that the teachers have had with Synergy.
In terms of that aspect, some other things that have happened since we met that I'll put in the full report. There were 2 student focus groups, both high school and middle school. I know that the submission issue impacted students, and not just students, it impacts parents, because parents aren't sure if it's up to date, accurate. Did their child really submit the assignment? Did they not submit the assignment? So that's something that has an impact all the way around. And then we also had some further secretarial training and clerical staff training. That list from that side seems to, to be getting smaller, but wait, the teacher view and the student view, those issues are what we want to see, and to be able to talk about, are they resolved? And then talk about a plan, plan for the future. But I just wanted to give you that update from me.
Have we sent out communication to families that we know and understand this is a challenge and we're working on a solution? Just to make sure there's an awareness that we understand that there's a problem with assignment submission and or delivery to students. I think it's fair for us to make sure our parents know that it may not be their child's issue. It could be, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'd be like, yeah, right, you didn't do it.
Those.
So, yeah, I just feel like it might help us out if we're being transparent about the issues that we're having and the fact that we are taking action and have a timeline to try and correct it.
When we put solutions in the sandbox environment, test environment, we have multiple people play with it there, or?
Yeah, we will.
Test the hell out of it.
We create mock student accounts. We create teacher accounts. We make sure it all looks like Cohoes, and then, yeah, we test the bejesus out of it.
Synergy also offered to provide, once this is in the sandbox, to provide some overviews for staff as well. So I think that's something
We'll make some room videos.
that we want to do as well. So much more in depth for the 31st, both written and then the overview of the presentation. But I did want to talk to you about the progress and why the date.
Was there an answer to the question about the communication to?
Oh, I wrote it down, which means yes, it will happen.
Sorry, I can't see you.
I nodded my head. Yes.
Yeah, this is a kid presentation setup, meeting this setup, right, Mrs. Rumsey?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important to communicate and be transparent.
From you, or are we moving on to?
Stacy, do you have anything for tonight?
Just 3 small things.
Stacy, you can
Do we call you
first.
Miss Mackey, or do we have to call you Stacy like the drama kids? Either one?
Either or. I answered to both. Just item L on tonight's agenda is for the minimum wage increase that was effective with the new year. So that impacts our part-time employees. And we kicked off budget season this week with the needs assessments, meeting with our secondary principals and our teacher leaders at our middle and our high school. And then next week will be the building leadership teams for our elementary schools. And just a reminder that Assemblymember McDonald will be joining us the next time we meet to give us an update on the state of the state. And then the first budget presentation and anticipated revenues will follow. That's it.
So when do you want me to do my comment on agenda items? You'll let me know beforehand.
You can go before or after. You have to go first after that. Any board member, thank you for the reports, by the way. Board member discussion of agenda items. Any discussion of agenda items? Absolutely.
The police handle with care.
Yep.
That also when students have issues with other students or issues themselves, not just like domestic issues. But
Yeah.
when they interface with the police, because I know sometimes that happens, and so having a heads up the next day.
As long as it goes on a report.
It's what's in the, so the person will come in the morning, before the shift, look through all the reports from the night before. We're working on the communication, but yeah. We might need to come up with 2 different types of cues, but we'll figure that out.
Good. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the agenda? Okay, can I please have a motion that the Board of Education adopts the following resolutions of the January 10th, 2024 agenda? Items 6A through E, 7A through L, and 10A and B.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Mrs. Giller,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Gendron,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Carrie, yes. Both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So first of all, I do want, so Kristen Frank is with us, and she has just been appointed as our tutoring center instructor at Cohoes High School, and thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you.
And also, we have 2 teachers on the agenda that I know you want to mention something to, but I did accept the resignation for retirement purposes of both Patty Caputo and Kim Kalucha, both longtime teachers, very dedicated to the district. Thank you so much for all the work you've done with our students.
Absolutely. Ditto. And they're leaving big shoes to fill. Also want to just make note of the donations that we accepted. $255 from Hannaford Health for Bowen Middle School PBIS. I'm sure they'll put that to good use. And $738.36 from Shutterfly also for PBIS. Guys are going to have good prizes. Any comments from Board of Education members on things that are not on the agenda? No. Audience members, any non-agenda comments? Moving to board policy review. So we adopted the policies that are listed on page 1 of the agenda. There are second reads. These are the ones we adopted. Yes, sorry, I apologize. We'll have new policies next time, but in light of some activity in recent months, we're asking that administration look at a social media policy. Whether that's in the form of a policy with a regulation or guidelines, but we'd like to refer that to the policy committee. And then bring a draft forward, whatever we decide is appropriate.
Okay, so we will, our next policy, I'm just making sure everybody can hear me, is the 30th, I believe. So we'll make sure that we start to discuss that. And in the meantime, pull some other policies or regulations from some districts.
And just take a look at what will fit us the best.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, dates for future meeting, January 31st here at 6 p.m. and February 14th, scheduled that.
Mrs. Roberts.
Here at 6 p.m. Happy Valentine's Day.
Are you bringing us flowers?
Somebody's bringing something.
Mr. Charlene will be wearing his red.
All we're ready. Into support of students. All right.
Better dig it out. Get ready.
Can we have a motion, please, to enter into executive session at 7:05 p.m. to discuss negotiations with the Cohoes Principals Association?
I'll make a motion. Please.
Second it.
Ms. Killer,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Gendron,
Yes.
Miss
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Mrs. Kieran. Yes. Thank you, everyone.